Good morning, students. Good morning to all. And last day we have studied about the indifference curve and the properties of indifference curve and the budget line and the consumer's equilibrium on the budget line. And you got the study portions also the properties of indifference curve. Okay, just we will remind about the last day study portions and today we will go to the next lessons. Okay. Your last day study portion is properties of indifference curves. I think you may have studied. So just we will remind the properties of indifference curve. So when we have studying the indifference curve, it has some of the properties. So on the properties only we can indicate it is the indifference curves. So one indifference curve must have these all properties. So first one of the properties is indifference curve must has negative approach. See, if you are taking any of the indifference curve, this all indifference curve must be as the negative approach. So why it has the negative approach mean on the basis of the rate of marginal rate of substitutions, the diminishing marginal rate of substitutions. So always when we are choosing any one of the commodities, we must give up the another one of the commodities. Okay, so it will start from the upward or from the downward. Okay, but it has the negative approach. When we are increasing any one of the commodities, we must give up the another one of the substitute commodities. Okay, so the properties, one of the properties of indifference curve is must have negative slope. Next, indifference curve are convex to the origin. So this is also on the basis of the same things. So on the basis of the diminishing marginal rate of substitutions. The indifference curve are not only negatively sloped but are also convex to the origin. The convexity of the indifference curve implies that not only the two commodities are substitutes for each other, but also the fact that the marginal rate of substitution between the goods decreases as a consumer moves along in indifference curve. So whenever the consumers increase or decreasing between these two commodities, it will create or it will form the convex or to the origin. Next, indifference curve cannot intersect each other. See, here that two indifference curve are intersect each other. But normally the two indifference curve will not each other. Suppose if the curve touch the another indifference curve, it means the two indifference curve as the different type of the combinations of goods. So normally every indifference curve will implies the focus or locus on combinations of two commodities which has giving the same level of satisfaction. Okay, but if any of the indifference curve is intersect other indifference curve, this means the two are different type of the combinations of two goods will not give the same satisfaction. Okay, so the indifference curve will never intersect each other, but here they intersect on each other, it is the wrong. Okay, the indifference curve will never intersect the other indifference curve. Next, the indifference curve cannot indifference curve do not touch the both curve here. So the indifference curve will never touch the both x-axis and the y-axis, because when we are consuming the two commodities, we must give up and we must purchase any of the commodities. Okay, so when we are consuming the two commodities, we must increase and we must giving the equal level of the commodities when we are purchasing the commodities. Okay, so it means, so the if the indifference curve touch any of the x-axis or y-axis, it means the consumers will have never chance or will have never interest to purchasing the another one of the commodities. But the indifference curve will explain the different same level of satisfaction when they are consuming two commodities. Okay, but if the curve is touched any one of the axis, any one of the curve, x curve or y curve, it means so the consumer will get never interest to purchasing any of the commodity. Okay, next, price line or budget line. So we must want to get the full satisfactions when we are consuming any two commodities. Okay, but even though we have to consider our budget or our income or the price of that commodity. So the demand for a good depends upon the preference for the good and the purchasing power. So the preference pattern is represented by the set of indifference score. The purchasing power depends on his money income or the price of the goods. So here we have some two type of the places. So below this budget line, if you are select any of the indifference curve, it has enable to purchasing the commodities, but it will not give the more satisfaction by having our sufficient level of the budget. Suppose if you are consuming more commodities above the budget line, it is not possible because the price of that commodities may be higher. So whenever we want to go to the purchase line and select the indifference curve, so we must considering the budget line also. Next, by using the budget line, how can we find out the consumer's equilibrium? So here the four indifference curves are there and one of the budget line also is there. Okay, as a rationalized consumers will be select the indifference curve 3 because indifference curve 3 only will tangent to the budget line. So within their budget line, they will get more commodities which has more satisfaction or the same level of the satisfaction goods. Suppose if they are selecting or this much amount of the commodities if they are bringing, they will get some remaining amount of money as a savings. But here we are studying to get the satisfaction level when we are purchasing the goods. So like the same times, so they will never select the indifference curve 4 because their budget line will not suitable to purchasing the commodities. Okay, so when we are selecting the indifference curve 3 on the basis of their budget, they will get two type of the goods and they will get maximum level of the satisfaction. Okay student, then next third chapter. So the third chapter is production analysis. So production is a process of using various material and immaterial inputs in order to make output for a consumption. If you want to get decide to consuming any of the commodities, the industries will be produce some of the goods and services, right? But if you are considering the meaning of productions, what we will think? What's the meaning of production? So production is the process of using various material and immaterial inputs in order to make output for consumption. If you want to produce any of the finished commodities, we must input such as more raw materials. If you want to bring a car, we must input the motor and the engines and the lubricants, oil, petrol or some things. Otherwise, just if you want to produce a cloth, we must bring a raw material of cotton as a inputs. After that only we can get a finished commodities. So after making a finished commodity only, we will ready to consuming that commodities. Otherwise we can able to consuming that commodities after became the inputs as a finished product. So the production is a process of using various material and immaterial inputs in order to make output for consumption. So not only that, the production process creates the economic well-being. Economic well-being means if there is no productions, so the peoples will never try to improve their economic activities, because normally all the persons must be in the need of having the basic necessity of life. After after obtaining the basic necessity of life only, they will get the wants to consuming the comfort goods and the luxury goods. Okay, by creating the well-being, whenever the on the basis of the human wants, if the production is increased, so whenever the production has been increased, so on the basis of increasing the amount of productions only, the well-being of human also be increased. Otherwise, if there is no productions, mean what will happen? Just to think yourself, there is no production means there is no supply of commodities, and there is no employment opportunity, and there will be no economic creations, and there is no innovations, and what are the major concept will be coming from the productions, everything will be stopped. So the production process creates the economic well-being. So the satisfaction of needs originates from the outputs. So when the human wants will get more satisfaction, mean after consuming the produced product only. If you want to purchasing any of the car producer must be produced as the finished product. If he is not produced the car, we will never purchase the car, and we will never operate, and we will never get the consume. So the satisfaction of needs originates from the outputs. If the producers complete their production process, and if they are supplied the commodities into the market only, we can consuming that commodities. So when we are consuming that commodities only, we will get the satisfactions. Okay, so the satisfaction of needs originates from the output. If there is no outputs, we will never get satisfactions. After that, we will never get any further wants. So the production is the result of completion of 4 factors of productions. So when we are studying the production process, so the 4 factors of productions also is there. So what are the factors of productions mean? The land, labor, capital, and organizations. If you think yourself or just you think, so without any of these 4 factors, we cannot produce anything. For example, land. If there is no land, can we produce any of the commodities in this agricultural sector? If you are deciding in this agricultural sector, if there is no land, we will never produce anything. So like that, labor also. If there is no farmer, then who will cultivate, who will seeding, who will cropping? So no work will be happen except the labor, without the labor. Next, capital. So the land and labor is also existing, but there is no capital to purchasing the seeds and fertilizers and making the irrigation facilities. What will happen? So there is no productions. Next, organizations. So everything, even if 3 factors are there, so one of the organization is important. Organizations mean, so we can assume as a business organizations or a market. So the by using the land and capital, the labor is produced the rice or some of the crops. So how the crops is going to the market? By the way of organizations. So the organizations only have to take the effort to transferring the produced commodity from the producer to consumers. So the organization is also very much important. So only these 4 factors is considered or called as a factors of productions. So without any one of these things, we can't produce any commodity. So only the 4 factors are called as a factors of productions. You should never forget The factor of production means the land, labor, capital and organization. So, but in economics, the production refers to the creation or addition of value. How one inputs will get the additional value when you have the raw materials. The value of raw materials may be very low, but if the raw materials became as a finished product, the value of the product will be increased higher. Okay, just if you have the raw material of cotton, the value of cotton is just nil or very low. But if the cotton is became as a silk or any of the dresses, so the value of dress will be became as a more. Okay, so the production refers to the creation or addition of value. So it will be creating the value. When any of the commodities is being as a inputs, it has no value. But the same inputs became as the finished product or any of the commodities, it has the value. So the production may be at very important. So the scale of production influences the cost of productions. All manufacturers are aware that when the production of commodity takes place on a larger scale, so they stand to benefit from the resulting economies of scales. Next, the features of productions. So we have studied the factors of productions. The four factors are there: land, labor, capital and organizations. So the factor of productions means the resources used in the process of productions of commodities. Some of the sources are going to use to produce the commodities. In this sense, we can take these four factors as a sources. If there is no any one of the sources, we can't produce the commodities. So here in this four factor of production, the land and labor is considered as a primary factor of productions, and the capital and organization is considered as a secondary factors of productions, because the capital and organization is a man-made creations, but the land and labor is the free gift of natures. Okay, so and even if there is no capital and organizations, we can produce some of the commodities in agricultural. If in this agricultural sector there is no capital and organization, we can produce some of the crops by using the land and labor. So the land and labor is considered as a primary factor of productions. And not only that, these four factors depends on each other. They have a coordinated impact on production of goods and services. So the land, without land, the labor is no use. Like that, the labor also have to create the capital. So by using the labor and the capital only, we can make the organizations to selling the commodities. Okay, hereafter, first we will studying about the one of the factor of production, that is the land. So in ordinary sense, land refers to the soil or the surface of the earth or ground, right? If we want to say the meaning of land, so land is the surface of the earth, otherwise the soil, otherwise the ground only we will think. But in economics, land means all gift of nature owned and controlled by the human beings which yield an income. Wherever the land is giving the yield or income by using that land, this is called land and is the free gift of natures. It is controlled and owned by the human beings. So even it is the free gift of natures, some of the land will be owned and controlled by human being which yield an income. If any of the land is not giving the income, this land is not considering as a beneficial land. So the land is the original source of material wealth. Land is the original source of all material wealth. why we are considering land is the original source of all material wealth mean. Even in this agricultural sector and the industrial sector, we must need of land to constructing any of the building or cultivating any of the crops. So the economic prosperity of country depends on the richness of her natural resources. So on the basis of the sources of land, one nations will become as a rich or poor. For example, the land of India will not use us or will not bring the oil or gases. Or in other nations, some of the land or the land will have the more oil sources, the petroleum and the petroleum product. Okay, so even if any of the nations does not having the land which has the uses to producing the crops, the nations made as a rich because the land, the resources of the land of that nation has the high value, because in this land they will produce the petroleum which has the high cost or high price. So the quality and the quantity of agricultural wealth are determined by the nature of soil, climate and rainfalls. Even if you have the land must be as the more wealth and quality and quality. The agricultural products are the basis of trade and industries. So industry survives on the availability of coal mines or waterfalls for electricity productions. Hence, all aspects of economic life like agriculture, trade and industries are generally influenced by the natural resources, which are called as land in economics. Next, we will see about the characteristics of land. So, one of the characteristics of land is a primary factor of productions. As I told already, so the land is the first and primary factor of productions, because even if the agricultural sector and the industrial sector also must be in need of land. If there is no land, even if you have more rainfall, more irrigation facilities, more fertilizers, it will not be useless. So the land must be needed to construct any of the building to conducting the industrializations. Okay, so the private sector, the agricultural sector and the industrial sector also must be in the need of land. So the land is considered as a primary factor of productions. Next, the land is a passive factor of productions. Land is a passive factor of productions means the land will not do anything. The land will not do anything. We can use the land. The land will not movable and the land will not doing or will not producing anything that self. So we can use the land in multi ways. Okay, so the land is the passive factor of productions. Next, land is the free gift of nature. So no persons can create the land. Okay, even if you have the more talent to produce any of the commodities or all the commodities, so no persons can produce the land. So the land is the free gift of nature. Even if the land is considered as a primary factor of productions, no one produced the land by using any of the commodity. Next, the land is the no cost of productions. The land has no cost of productions. Okay, we can't produce the land, and even though the land has no cost of productions, it is the free gift of nature already, as we told. Next, the land is fixed in supply. Land is fixed in supply mean, for example, if 1 acre land is there mean, within the 1 acre land, how much of product we can produce, it is the fixed one. By increasing the more irrigation, more fertilities, we can't increase the supply, because it is the fixed in supply as per the law of nature, as well as inelastic in supply. Okay, So whenever the price of the fertility is decreasing, or if we have the more rainfalls, and when we are getting the seeds in very low prices, so the ground or the land will produce the same commodities. So the land has the inelastic in supply. Next, the land is permanent. Okay, we can't demolish the land, and we suppose we can transferring the ownership of the land from one person to another one of the persons. Okay, but land is always will be there in there itself. The land is permanent. Okay, even if you are not using the land is existing there itself. Next, the land is immovable. So the land cannot moving from one place to another one of the places. Okay, so the other factor of productions only has to move to use the land. The land will never move from one place to another one of the places. Next, alternative uses. The land has the alternative uses. Alternative uses means, so we can use the land for producing any one of the agricultural commodities of that is the cultivate any one of the crops. Otherwise, we can use the land to constructing any one of the business organizations. Otherwise, we can use that land to constructing any one of the home. So we can live there as a comfortable. So we can use the land as very broadly. Next, so land, it is the subject to law of diminishing returns. The land is the subject to diminishing law of diminishing returns. Law of diminishing returns means, so when we are using any of the land continuously 1 or 2 years, or in 1 or 2 more years, in course of time, so the land will decrease the productivity. Next, the land is heterogeneous as it is differs in fertilities. So on the basis of the resource of the land, or on the basis of the fertility, the land will produce more crops. Okay, so today we have studied the characteristics of land, and the 8 characteristics are there. If you have any doubt, please ask me, and take your study portions in the characteristics of land itself. Okay, students, thank you.